I've worked this land my whole life. My father did too, and his father before him. Nothing about this place ever scared me. Until the field started breathing. At first, I thought it was the wind. That's what anyone would think. You stand out in the middle of a quiet countryside, surrounded by crops, and you see the Moview Dan de Castillon Italiano. But this wasn't wind. It was too slow. Too deliberate. It started about a week ago. I was out late fixing a section of broken fence near the east side of my land. That part of the farm has always been a little off. There's a patch there maybe, the size of a small house. Nothing ever grows right. The crops around it grow tall and healthy, but inside that patch, thin, uneven, like something underneath is choking the life out of the soil. My father always told me to leave it alone. Bad soil, he'd say, not worth the effort. I never questioned it. In the countryside, you learn early not to fight the land. If something doesn't grow, you move on. But that night, I noticed something strange. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. No distant sounds from the village, just silence. And then the crops in that patch moved. Not all at once, just the center. It dipped slightly, then rose back up, like something underneath had taken a slow, deep breath. I remember just standing there, staring, trying to make sense of it. Maybe an animal, I thought, something burrowing underground. But I've lived here long enough to know how animals move. This wasn't that. This was bigger, slower, controlled. I didn't go closer that night. I told myself I was tired seeing things, so I went back inside, locked the door, and tried to forget about it, but I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing that movement, that slow rise and fall. Like the land itself was alive. The next morning, I went back to check. Everything looked normal. No disturbed soil. No holes. No tracks. For a moment, I almost laughed at myself. But then I stepped into the patch, and the ground felt soft, not muddy. Just slightly hollow. I stepped back. Immediately, something about it made my stomach turn. That night, I went out again. I stood at the edge of the field and waited. Minutes passed. Nothing. Nothing. Then, it happened again. The center of the patch sank down, slowly, then rose back up. And this time, I heard it. A deep, low sound. Just a faint exhale, like air being pushed through something buried deep underground. My chest tightened, because that's when it hit me. Whatever was down there, it wasn't just moving, it was breathing. I didn't go out the next night. I stayed inside, locked every door and window. But around midnight, I woke up anyway. I walked to the window. From there, I could see the east field clearly under the moonlight, and my blood ran cold. The entire patch was moving now, not just the center. The whole area was rising and falling, slowly, rhythmically, like a chest. Breathing in, out. In. Out. In. Out. Each movement was slightly bigger than the last. The ground rising higher, sinking deeper. And then it stopped. Everything went still. For a few seconds, there was nothing. No movement, no sound. And then the ground bulkhead upward, higher than before. Not a gentle rise this time. A push. Something forcing its way up from below. The crops bent outward, flattening under the pressure. The soil cracked slightly. And I swear, I saw something under the surface. A shape. Not clear. Not defined. But wrong. Too large to be any animal. Too slow to be anything natural. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I went straight to the field. I don't know what I expected to find. But the patch looked untouched. Perfectly still. Like nothing had happened. I walked closer, this time. Closer than I ever had before. And that's when I saw it. A crack in the soil. Thin. Jagged. Running through the center of the patch. I knelt down beside it. And for a moment, he just stared. Something about it felt wrong. Like it didn't belong there. Then I heard it again. Faint. From below. That same low sound. That slow, steady exhale. I froze. The ground beneath me shifted slightly, just enough for me to feel it. Like something had moved directly under my feet. I jumped back and ran. I didn't stop until I reached the house. That was 3 days ago. Since then, it's been getting worse. Every night, the movement gets stronger. The breathing gets louder. Last night, it shook the ground. Not violently. Just enough to rattle the windows. Like whatever is down there is getting closer to the surface. I tried calling someone. The local authorities. A few people from the village. But what was I supposed to tell them? That my field is breathing. That something is buried underneath my land. They'd think I'm insane. So I've been dealing with it alone. Watching. Waiting. Listening. Tonight it's different. I can feel it even from inside the house. A low vibration in the floor. A slow, steady rhythm. Stronger than ever before. I don't think it's gonna stay underground much longer. And the worst part, I don't think it was ever trapped. I think it was sleeping. And now, it's waking up. Because a few minutes ago, I looked out at the field one last time. And the ground didn't just rise. It opened. Just slightly, enough for something inside to take a deeper breath. Bigger than before, like it was preparing to finally come out. Everyone in the village knows about that house. It sits at the far end of the dirt road, past the last farm, where the trees grow too close together and the air always feels colder than it should. No one goes near it. Not during the day. Definitely not at night. And if you ask why, people don't really answer. They who say, leave it alone. I used to think it was just another abandoned place. Every countryside has an old house with broken windows and rotting wood. I didn't believe any of it until I went inside. It started with the lights. I was coming back late one evening. The sun had already set, and the road was almost completely dark. As I passed the old house, something caught my eye. A light. Faint. But steady, coming from one of the upstairs windows. Primera slowed down. The walls were still cracked. The roof still sagged. The yard was overgrown. It didn't look like a place anyone could live in. But as I got further down the road, the light went out just like that. No flicker. No dimming. Shooth. Gone. I checked my rearview mirror. The house was completely dark. That's when I got that feeling, like you just missed something important. So the next evening, I went back. Curiosity, I guess. I parked my truck a little distance away and waited. And then the light came back. Same window. Same faint glow. My stomach tightened. Now primera juja. Sentí. Imagining it, I walked slowly toward it, my boots crunching on the gravel. No sound came from inside. No movement. I reached the front door and hesitated. The wood was warped and splitting. I pushed it. It creaked open slowly. The smell hit me first. Dust. Rot. Something old. And closed off for too long. I stepped inside. The floor groaned, except there were footprints. Faint, barely visible, but they were there. Leading from the front door, deeper into the house. The footprints led to the staircase and stopped. I looked up. The light from upstairs spilled faintly down the hallway. Every instinct told me to leave, but I didn't. I started climbing. Each step creaked loudly, echoing through the house. Halfway up, I stopped, because I heard something. A sound from above. Soft, like a chair scraping across the floor. At the top of the stairs, the hallway stretched out. 3 doors. The light was coming from the one at the end. And what I saw didn't make sense. The room was clean. Completely clean. The bed was neatly made. The floor freshly swept. There was a lamp on a small table, the source of the light. It looked like someone had just been there. I stepped into the room, and the moment I did, the light went out. Darkness swallowed everything instantly. Then I heard it. Behind me, a breath. Slow. Close. Right at my neck. Spun around. No one was there. The hallway was empty, but the air felt occupied. Like something had just moved. The footprints. They were back on Bud this time. They were fresh, leading into the room, right up to where I was standing. I didn't wait. I ran. Down the stairs. Out the front door. I didn't stop until I was in my truck, driving as fast as I could. But the next night, I saw the light again, from my window all the way across the fields. That same faint glow, only this time. It wasn't alone. There was a shadow in the window, standing still, watching. That house isn't abandoned. It just waits. And every night, it resets, like nothing ever happened. Except now. It knows, because tonight, the light didn't come from upstairs. It came from the ground floor. Right behind the front door, like something inside is waiting for me to come back. I grew up in a place where silence didn't exist. Not real silence. Out here in the countryside, there's always something: dogs barking in the distance, insects humming in the grass, cows shifting in their sheds, birds calling to each other before sunrise. Even at night, the world never truly sleeps. That's how you know everything is normal. That's how you know you're safe. So when all of it suddenly stopped, I knew something was wrong. It started 3 nights ago. I was sitting outside on my porch, finishing dinner, listening to the usual sounds. Crickets. Wind brushing through the trees. My neighbor's dog barking at nothing, like it always does. Routine. Familiar. Safe. Then, without warning, everything went quiet. Not gradually, not fading out, just gone. Like someone flipped a switch, the crickets stopped mid-chirp. The wind seemed to die instantly. Even the dog cut off in the middle of a bark. The silence hit so hard it felt like pressure in my ears. I remember sitting there, frozen, waiting for something to start up again. But nothing did. The air felt wrong, heavy, like the entire village was holding its breath. I stood up slowly and looked around. The field stretched out like always, dark under the night sky. The trees stood still. Too still. That's when I noticed the dog, my neighbor's dog, Bruno. He wasn't barking anymore. He was standing at the edge of his yard, completely rigid, staring out toward the fields behind my house. Not moving, not making a sound. I called out to him. "Bruno." No reaction, not even a twitch. That's when I felt it, that unease creeping up my spine. Because animals don't just go silent for no reason. They react, they panic, they run. But this wasn't panic. This was submission, like he already knew something I didn't. I went back inside and locked the door. I don't know why, it just felt necessary. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, the silence felt louder, like it was pressing in on the walls of the house. Morning came, and everything seemed normal again. Birds were chirping, cows were making noise. Bruno was back to barking like nothing had happened. I almost convinced myself it was just in my head. Until the next night, same time, same place. And again, everything stopped. This time, I was ready. I stepped outside immediately. The silence hit me even harder than before. No insects, no wind, nothing. And again, Bruno was there, standing in the exact same spot, facing the fields. Frozen, I followed his gaze. At first, I didn't see anything to darkness, the outline of crops swaying slightly in the distance. Then I noticed something move, far out in the field. A shape. Tall. Thin. Too far away to make out. Clearly. It moved slowly, gliding between the rows of crops. I squinted, trying to focus, but every time I thought I saw it clearly, it was somewhere else, like my eyes couldn't track it properly. A chill ran through me, because I realized something. It wasn't moving fast. It just didn't move normally. The way it shifted didn't make sense, like it wasn't bound by the same rules as everything else. I took a step back, and the moment I did, it stopped, completely still. Like it knew I was watching. My chest tightened, and then, slowly, it turned. Even from that distance, I could feel it. It was facing me now. I couldn't see its face, but I knew. And then the sound came back. All at once, crickets, wind, distant noises. Everything rushed in like it had been held back. I blinked, and the figure was gone. I stood there for a long time, trying to process what I had just seen, but deep down, I already knew that thing wasn't part of this place. And the animals, they weren't going silent for no reason. They were going silent because it was there. The third night was worse. I didn't wait for it this time. I stayed inside, lights off, watching through the window, waiting, and right on time. Silence. But this time, Bruno wasn't outside. He was inside his house. I could see him through the small window of his shed, curled up in the corner, shaking, his eyes wide open, staring at the door. My throat went dry, because if he wasn't looking at the fields anymore, then where was it? I stepped away from the window, slowly, carefully, and that's when I heard it. A faint sound, right outside my house. Not loud, just enough to notice, like something brushing against the walls, moving along them. Slow, deliberate. I held my breath. The sound stopped near the front door. Then, silence again, but not the same kind. This silence felt closer, tighter, like it was right on the other side of the walls. I don't know how long I stood there. Seconds, minutes. It felt like forever. Then I heard something that made my blood run cold. A soft knock. 3 times. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just gentle. Like someone asking to be let in. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Another knock. Same pattern. Slow. Patient. I backed away from the door, my heart pounding in my chest. Because I knew whatever was out there, it wasn't human, and it knew I was inside. The knocking stopped, and for a moment, I thought it was over. Then I heard it again, but not at the door. This time, it was at the window. Right beside me, 3 soft taps against the glass. I turned my head slowly, and I saw it. A shape. Tall. Standing just outside. So close, I could see the outline against the darkness. Its head tilted slightly, like it was trying to look in. Trying to see me. I couldn't make out its face. But I didn't need to, because something about it felt wrong in a way I can't explain. Like my mind refused to process what I was looking at. And then it tapped the glass again. 3 times. Slow. Patient. Waiting. I stumbled back, unable to look away. And that's when I noticed something even worse. The reflection in the window, it didn't match the shape outside. The reflection looked human. Standing there, perfectly still. But the thing outside, it was tie longer. Its limbs slightly off, like it was pretending to be something it wasn't, and getting it wrong. The silence broke again. All the sounds rushed back, and just like that, it was gone. No footsteps, no movement, nothing, just gone. I didn't sleep at all that night, and neither did Bruno. I could hear him whining until morning. It's the 4th night now. I'm sitting here again, waiting, watching, because I know it is a coming bike. The animals already know. They've started going quiet earlier tonight. One by one. The birds stopped first, then the insects. Now even the wind feels like it's fading. And Bruno, he's not outside anymore. He's gone. His shed is empty, the door is open, and there are no tracks, no signs of struggle, nothing. Just gone. And I think I know why. Because a few minutes ago, I heard that same soft knock again, 3 times. But this time, it didn't come from the door or the window, it came from inside the house. Right behind me, and when I turned around, the silence was already there. In our village, fog isn't unusual. It rolls in from the low hills every few weeks, thick and quiet, covering the fields like a blanket. By morning, it's usually gone, leaving everything damp and still. No one really paid attention to it. At least, not before. Now, we do. Because this fog doesn't just hide things, it kills you. The first time I noticed something was wrong, I didn't even see the fog. I heard it. I was inside my house, just after midnight, when I heard someone call my name. Soft. Clear. Right outside my window. Keaton. Keaton. I froze. The voice sounded familiar. Too familiar. It sounded like my younger brother, but that didn't make sense. He lives in another city. He hadn't visited in months. I walked to the window slowly, my heart starting to race. Hello, I called out. No answer. I pulled the curtain aside, and that's when I saw it. The fog. Thick. Dense. Covering everything beyond a few feet from my house. It hadn't been there earlier. It had come in silently. I scanned the white haze, trying to see through it. Nothing. Just shifting shadows and endless gray. I told myself I imagined the voice, that it was just the wind, or my mind playing tricks. So I closed the curtain and went back to bed, but sleep didn't come easy, because deep down, I knew what I heard. The next morning, the village felt different. Quieter. Not silent, like the other nights I've experienced, but uneasy. I stepped outside and saw my neighbor standing by his gate. He looked tired, worried. "You heard it too?" he asked. My stomach dropped. I didn't even have to ask what he meant. I nodded. He swallowed hard. "It sounded like my wife," he said. "She's been gone for 3 years." A chill ran through me, because now I knew it wasn't just me. More people started talking as the day went on. Everyone had the same story, a voice, calling their name, sounding exactly like someone they knew, someone close, someone they trusted. But always from outside, always from the fog. That's when the elders spoke up. They don't talk much, not unless they have to. But this time, they did. And what they said made everything worse. They told us the fog had come before, years ago, long before I was born. Back then, people heard the voices too, and some of them followed. They stepped into the fog, chasing the sound of someone they loved, and they never came back. The village had one rule after that, a simple one. If you hear your name in the fog, don't answer. I wish I had known that earlier, because that night, the fog came back, thicker than before. It swallowed the fields, the roads, even the nearest houses. You couldn't see more than a few steps ahead. It felt like the world had shrunk down to nothing. I stayed inside, just like everyone else. Doors locked, windows shut, lights off. Waiting. And then, it started. Ketone, the voice was back. Closer this time. Right outside the door. It sounded exactly like my brother. Every detail, every tone. Perfect. Open the door. It sighed softly. "I'm here." My chest tightened. My hand moved toward the handle before I even realized it. Because it didn't just sound real, it felt real. Like he was actually there. Like he needed help. And for a moment, Primera, bilibet, Italiano. Then, I remembered the rule. Don't answer. Don't respond. Don't open the door. I stepped back. The voice continued. More urgent now. "Ketan, please, it's cold. Let me in." I clenched my fists, forcing myself to stay still, because something about it felt wrong. Not in the voice itself, but in the way it spoke, like it knew exactly what to say, exactly how to make me react. When I didn't respond, it changed. The tone shifted, softer, more desperate. Then it laughed. Just for a second, a quiet, almost playful sound, and my blood ran cold, because my brother doesn't laugh like that. The voice faded, and for a moment, I thought it was over. But then I heard something else. Footsteps, moving along the side of the house, slow, dragging, like someone was walking through the mud. Then another voice, this one from behind the house, calling my name again, but this time. It sounded like my mother. My breathing got heavier, because now I understood. It wasn't just copying one voice. It could change. Adapt. Use. Whatever it needed. I backed away from the walls, moving toward the center of the room, trying to put distance between me and the outside. The voices continued, one after another. Each one familiar, each one calling me, trying to pull me closer, and then they all stopped. At once, the silence that followed was worse than anything, because it felt like something was about to happen. And then I heard the door, not knocking, not banging, just the handle turning, slowly, gently, as if someone already knew how to open it. Premedista read it, unable to move. The handle turned halfway, then stopped, like something on the other side was testing it. waiting, listening. After a few seconds, it went still again. The voices didn't come back. The footsteps were gone, and eventually, the fog lifted. Morning came. The village looked normal again. But not everyone was there. One of the houses down the road was empty, the door wide open. No signs of struggle, no footprints, nothing. Just like the stories, they followed the voice, and the fog took them. It's been 2 days since then. People don't go out after dark anymore. No one talks about the fog unless they have to, but we all know it'll come back. It always does in hand hitch time. It hits. Better, smarter. Closer. Because tonight, the fog hasn't rolled in yet. The air is still clear. The sky is visible. Everything looks normal. But a few minutes ago, I heard my name again. Soft. Close. From just outside my room. And when I looked out the window, there was no fog, just darkness, and something standing in it. Perfectly still. Waiting. Like it doesn't need the fog anymore. Like it's already learned enough. And now, it knows exactly how to find me.